Greetings of the day to the organizers of Oxford India Forum, members of faculty, galaxy of speakers, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to share a comparative reflection on a sense of strategic philosophies of two ancient yet enduring minds, Sun Tzu of China and Kautilya, also known as Chanakya of India. I shall essentially be comparing the thoughts of two luminaries on statecraft, strategy, intelligence, deception, and leadership, which have a timeless and universal relevance and appeal on contemporary military, political, and diplomatic thought. Let's begin with Sun Tzu, a general, strategist, philosopher from the Eastern Zhou period of 14th century BC. He is credited with authoring The Art of War, a seminal text that continues to shape strategic thinking globally. Its 13 concise chapters are not merely instructions for military success, but a manual for rational conflict management. From journals to CEOs, diplomats to athletes, Sun Tzu's legacy transcends sectors and civilizations. At the core of Sun Tzu's work are 5 elements: statecraft, strategy, intelligence, deception, and leadership. These are not simple tools of war, but disciplines of governance and survival in a competitive world. They are profoundly relevant to multi-domain warfare and strategic ambiguity that define the 21st century. On statecraft, he put a lot of emphasis on multi-domain warfare, national integration and societal cohesiveness, asymmetric strategy in which technology is a major enabler, and put a lot of emphasis on reducing the cost of war and emphasize adaptation, saying that those who are able to adapt and change in accord with the enemy achieve victory. What they call is the divine victory. Sun Tzu famously said, "To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill," and that requires great strategic thinking, which is key to problem solving, understanding opponent's mind, and minimizing losses. He put a lot of emphasis on mind being a target and a weapon, and emphasized on dynamic strategy to keep the enemy guessing and unsettled. Sun Tzu believed that the paramount importance in statecraft is intelligence. And his famous quote is, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But if you know yourself and not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat." And third, if you neither know the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And finally, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Sun Tzu said, all warfare is based on deception. Appear weak when you are strong and appear strong when you are weak. His view of leadership was grounded in psychological solidarity. And I quote, "Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you to the deepest values," unquote. This blend of empathy, deception, and foresight formed the bedrock of his strategic theory. Now let's shift to Kautilya, India philosopher, statesman who authored the Arthashastra in the 4th century BC. He was a mentor to Chandragupta Maurya, the architect of the Mauryan Empire. The Arthashastra is not a war manual per se. It's a civilizational blueprint of governance, economics, diplomacy, intelligence, and military affairs. It comprises 15 books, 150 chapters, over 180 topics. From fundamentals of management to warcraft, its scale is encyclopedic. Kautilya identified 8 elements of sovereignty, namely the king, ministers, country, fort, treasury, army, allies, and enemies. These map quite neatly onto what we today call the instruments of national power. His doctrine was rooted in realism, emphasizing pragmatic choices, continuous adaptation, and preemptive strategy. On threat perception, he categorized 4 types of threats: internal threats that originate from within the state, like internal conflicts and social unrest; external threats involving foreign powers or non-state actors; externally aided internal threats, that means internal dissent backed by foreign powers; and finally, internally aided external threats, that means internal actors being aided by external forces. Kautilya developed the mandala theory, a concentric view of geopolitical relations. An enemy's enemy is your friend, and ally is also your friend. But alliances are transactional, and what is paramount is your national interest. He celebrated 4-fold approach to conflict resolution: Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhet, meaning persuasion, incentive, punishment, and division, a spectrum ranging from diplomacy to subversion. He emphasized the importance of intelligence and said that every king shall have a secret service. A king shall have his agents in the courts of enemy, the ally, the middle and neutral kings, to spy on kings as well as their high officials. And as of talking about a secret agency, said a single assassin can achieve more with poison than what a fully mobilized army equipped with weapons and fire could achieve. On deception, he said, no enemy shall know the king's secrets, however, he will know all the enemy's weakness, comparing it to a tortoise that a king should draw in any limb of the state that is exposed and should not reveal his vulnerabilities to his adversary. Kautilya on leadership was very ethical and empirical. He said a king should be prescient in foreseeing calamities and try to avert them before they arise. And one wheel alone does not move a chariot. The king must act with the council of advisors. He emphasized on the economic foundation, which is the root to wealth and economic activity, without which both current prosperity and future growth would be in danger. And this is an advice which is priceless in achieving the goals of Viksit Bharat 2047. Despite cultural and geographical distances, Sun Tzu and Kautilya converge on many themes like avoidance of prolonged wars, importance of intelligence and deception, leadership and moral responsibility, preference for indirect warfare or asymmetric warfare, and above all, They both saw statecraft and military power as integrated disciplines and not silos. In conclusion, the philosophy of Sun Tzu and Kautilya offer a civilizational perspective on security, distinct from Western Clausewitzian traditions. They teach us that the war is not merely fought on battlefield, it is prepared in mind through knowledge, planning, influence, and adaptability. In the current age of contested multipolarity and dysfunctional multilateralism, multi-domain warfare is prosecuted in grey zone with disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence, and disinformation. Therefore, their legacy help us reimagine strategy not just an art of war, but as an art of statecraft. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I wish this seminar a great success. Jai Hind.